From the San Antonio airport plans to streets to a dog problem in San Antonio. Lots to talk about with Mayor Ron Nirenberg, who joins us for today's KSAT Q&A. Mayor, thanks as always for being here with us on Tuesdays. You know what happened last week that we covered here? An awful attack. Couple of dogs killing a man in his 80s, stray dogs. And we have heard from so many viewers who say this is an issue they deal with in their neighborhoods, either aggressive or stray dogs. What can the city do about it? So we asked some viewers for questions that they had. We want to pose some of those to you. One of them is this: has the city ever considered requiring permits for so-called aggressive breeds? That coming from a viewer this evening.
Yeah, well, first of all, our prayers continue to be with the Nirenberg family after this really devastating tragedy. And of course, this is a tragedy that should never happen. So very quickly, we obviously ask ourselves what could have been done. I will say that I remember in one instance, a very short-lived conversation about aggressive breed permits writ large for particular breeds. Obviously, people think of pit bulls, but those get quashed down pretty quickly. You know, the city of San Antonio has one of the largest open intakes for shelters, and we deal with aggressive dogs calls all the time. I think we've had 1,000 calls already on aggressive animals. The challenge is, in order for a dog to be deemed dangerous, there has to be a written affidavit filed by a witness to an unprovoked act of violence. So, you know, with these particular dogs that were involved in this mauling last week, there were prior incidents noted, but there wasn't an official affidavit. So those dogs were never deemed dangerous in the sense that we could seize them without an incident. So unfortunately, because of state law, they were returned to the owner after quarantine, and it's private property, and this owner did not exhibit responsibility for his animals, and they were let loose, and this is what happens. So it is a tragedy. We are going to need some assistance from state leaders to fix the loopholes that allow this kind of thing to happen.
And I want to get back. We've got a couple more questions from our viewers that they've sent in for you, Mr. Mayor. But I want to just ask the question about, it strikes me that can we hold owners more responsible in this whole thing? Because, I mean, we're talking about animals here. We're talking about animals that need care, need training. And a lot of times if that's not done properly. Can we hold owners more responsible in all this?
We should. And, you know, I am hopeful that we can, all of us, state and local leaders can take a look at these laws and identify where the gaps are that would allow us better tools to seize animals who have been aggressive, who have been violent, and whose owners don't take care of them. You know, already if a dog is deemed dangerous and those affidavits are filed and it's returned home, the dog is required to be spayed and neutered. They were in this case. You have to have a special license. You also have to have liability insurance, but most importantly, signs need to be posted, and they need to be restrained at all times onto the onto the owner's property. So, you know, in this case, the dogs were let loose, and because there wasn't a previous affidavit signed, we were not able to seize that animal before the attack. So, you know, I'm hopeful that more tools can be identified that would allow us to seize dangerous animals before attacks can occur.
We did get a comment from a viewer, not necessarily a question, but somebody questioning whether the law that the city passed that prohibits the chaining of dogs outside, does that really go towards a detriment of keeping potentially dangerous dogs contained or tied up, not able to, you know, access sidewalks, anybody who's passing by. I'm curious if in your conversations with other city leaders, with ACS since this happened, any solutions that have floated to the top for you, anything that you would like the city council to consider?
You know, that restraint, the law that prohibits chaining of animals on property is actually at the state level as well. So this is, a state and local issue that we've got to solve together. What I think would be very helpful, the affidavit has to be signed by a witness to a violent act. Oftentimes, ACS is called because neighbors are fearful of the animals, and they're also, frankly, fearful of the owners who have those animals. And so if ACS had the legal right to file an affidavit to be a witness to an event, that would be very helpful. In this case, ACS responds, but if they're not actually a witness to an event, they cannot follow through and restrain or take the animal from the owner.
All right, Mr. Mayor, I want to move on quickly to the airport. $20 million, I believe, in funding was approved by the FAA from the federal government to San Antonio to start the process of the new terminal. Is that enough, or where is the rest of the money going to come from?
So this is a long process, and the application that was approved, that the proposal that received $20 million in FAA funding was one aspect of a larger plan. Obviously, we are going through a major redevelopment of the San Antonio International Airport. It's massive. New terminal, runways, ground loading facilities, ingress, egress, the roadways outside of the airport are going to change. And all this, again, is funded through FAA funds as well as airline fees. It's not local taxpayer dollars. So we are going to continue to apply for funds at every cycle. This is good news. This is the largest FAA grant we've received in many, many years. So this is going to enable us to continue on track, on schedule with the ground loading facility, which is just one aspect of the larger plan. But we're going to be back at it at every cycle, filling in those proposals to bring more of those dollars back home to San Antonio.
Mayor Ron Nirenberg, always appreciate your time. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Keep up to date with all of San Antonio's top news, weather, and so much more by clicking the like and subscribe buttons below. And once again, thanks for watching KSAT.